Hello and welcome to the show. We start this week's FailRace episode on GTA 5 with HK driving through the tunnels. Now, I've all driven around this part of the map. I've driven through it plenty of times. I have never come across a car managing to get stuck in this particular manner. It's in director mode, so the player doesn't get instantly killed when the car explodes, but, I mean, that's just 10 out of 10 for the effort to get your car wedged in such a manner. And Nymph Racer up next is answering an important question. What happens if you try and use a bulldozer to lift up a submarine? Yes, the sort of question that even I would like to ask on GTA 5. It turns out that, well, despite the submarine being massive, bulldozer wins. Yep, the bulldozer actually wins quite convincingly. The sub's just parked on the roof and is now being dragged down the beach. So, there you go. That is the answer to your question. Rockstar next on Test Drive Unlimited 2 has found a new job carrying a spinning sign along the road. I don't think that's quite how they're supposed to work. It's surprisingly well put on the front of the car there. The broken halo finding different spinning bits of roadside track furniture. There we go. We'll go with that. On a set of Corsa, this is a cone that for some reason has got sort of perpetual motion. This clip is quite long. I've cut it down. It's like 2 minutes of the cone just doing its own thing. Who knows why it did that, but there we go. Jamie Spurs up next is on Wreckfest. Now, this is playing with the much more extreme, ridiculous damage. And of all the possible ways to have your car destroyed on this kind of testing ground area, if you will, a simple roll off a very small ramp has made a flatmobile, not just a flatmobile either, it's like shifted the whole body over to the right. That's, yeah, well done. That is impressive. Falcon King up next on Need for Speed Undercover with an AI car picking the wrong moment to make the turning. It's okay, it's just going to spin and flip and twist its way down the road. It might still be spinning to this day. It had a lot of rotations from that. I mean, the Ford got away with it. It could have been worse, let's be honest. Need for Speed Most Wanted up next with a drive in a police chase, you know, as you do. That's relatively early in the game, I should think, with a focus up against the Monaro. Things go a little bit wrong for the Ford. They can't quite make up their mind. They make a decision to go to a shortcut a little too late. Police car comes flying in, and it tries a new sort of... Oh, it might be a Pontiac GTO rather than Monaro, but never mind. Tries a new sort of manoeuvre for slowing down. Yes, if we park kind of on two wheels on the side, it might work. It sadly doesn't. FailRace Police Department are at least trying new tactics. Lambo up next on the long drive is stopping at a garage to get some new parts for their vehicle when they notice an attack rabbit. Yes, there is a high-speed attack rabbit coming towards them, so the best thing to do is to get into the car of safety, or at least a good thing to do if you don't have a gun or sensible weaponry on you. Said rabbit is going to proceed to kind of headbutt the door. Now, it gets a bit glitchy, shall we say, when attack rabbits are going after the cars. And this one, I mean, you can't get out of the car because who knows what the glitchiness might occur in this one. The rabbit proceeds to headbutt the car, try and attack through the door, dies, and then really everything gets unhappy. That's not what you need, not what you want. The player's trying to do something, maybe driving might get the body to fall out. It kind of does. It does manage to get the barrel to get flung out of the car. Eventually the rabbit stops glitching around, but yeah, turns out, well, the attack rabbits are quite scary at the end of the day. The Rat God is up next on Just Cause 3. Now, they're trying to beat a challenge to do with, you know, maintaining a lot of speed for as long as possible. Now, what better place to do that than on one of the railways? Now, this seems like a very sensible plan, and it is. Problem: train comes towards them, they go to change direction, and I guess the carriages of the first train hadn't loaded in properly. They were there, and when the player goes to swerve out the way of an oncoming train, the game has decided to have enough. Yeah, don't have an argument with an invisible train. Funnily enough, that is pretty good advice. Don't have an argument with an invisible train. It doesn't tend to go particularly well. King Cobra up next on Dirt Rally 2. Now, I know what you're expecting from this clip. You see it so many times, especially in Wales, where there's lots of ditches for cars to sort of ping out of and go for a roll and carry on. But the Subaru has a new trick, which is going to go for the longest two-wheeled moment we can. How this doesn't fall over, I have no idea. It's incredibly well held in all of that, but the car does land and can carry on. We're on to a set of Corsa next with a huge wheelie from a Renault F1 car. That is one hell of a... I had to slow this down. It's a very quick clip, this one. I mean, it's a very quick section of track as well for the car, but Yeah, it gets a little bit of airtime just going over the crest. I guess all the air rushes under the car and lifts it up. Amazed it doesn't go for a backflip like those classic GT car crashes. But yeah, that is one hell of a wheelie for a Formula 1 car. That boy is up next on BeamNG. Drive is going for a high-speed run in a highly, highly modified car. Unfortunately, two things happen pretty much simultaneously. The front end doesn't have enough downforce and something explodes from the front corner. I don't know what lets go. I'm not sure if it's a tyre. The front right tyre might have let go on its own, but I think the car was in trouble anyway. I think the front had lifted off the ground. Yeah, dangerous place to be doing speed runs. I mean, that was like a 250 mile an hour crash, but you definitely don't want your tyre exploding at that particular moment. And finally, we have got C Infinity on BeamNG Drive. Now, this is doing a race scenario. And up ahead, the AIs are having a crash, and the player's on the brakes, but just can't get stopped in time, and everything goes horribly wrong. So the front two cars have crashed. No one behind can avoid it. The player's stuck in the middle of it. Everything's wrecked. Everything's broken. The player car is still driving. Now, I use driving. It's a very loose term, but of course, everybody's wrecked, so you can still go on to win the race. You know, the scenario isn't over. The car is still moving, and with everybody else essentially DNF'd out of the race, well, it's going to be a difficult drive, but might be doable, made considerably worse by further rolling the car off of the railing. Yet, this is not... It's not looking great now for the car, for the Pazima. In fact, I think we've had both Pazimas in the two beam clips have had problems. Now we got stuck with massive crabbing to the left. The car can barely pull itself away from the guardrail. However, it is still going. And of course, with everything else having been involved in that huge shunt, is an opportunity for an admittedly very cheesed victory. It's essentially just become a survival race. Now, one of the AI cars has got going, smoking heavily. So whether that engine would hold until the end, I have no idea. Amazingly, the player's car's not lost the radiator, whereas that AI car most definitely has, and who knows if it ends up in a wall. Unfortunately, as the guardrail runs out, the player just can't get the car to steer far enough, and as the wheel comes off, that will finally be the end of... It was a valiant effort, but that'll finally be the end of the scenario. A wonderful try, and it almost limped its way to some sort of finish. Not quite. Not quite, but... There we go. That is going to be it for this episode. As ever, if you have clips like to submit to this series, you can via a Google form. There'll be a link to it in the description of this video. All the rules and how it works can be found on there. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.